Okay, we'll get it rocking and rolling. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back. Today, Kong brought us a great topic, working with new construction. Obviously, these deals can be a little different than your typical resale, so we wanted to bring that up. And, Kong's going to walk us through some of the details and things that you should pay attention to. Kong, you want to get it started?
Yeah, thanks, Brooks. So today we're going to talk about working with new construction, and there's varying different types of new construction, which we'll go over. But the biggest common theme I've heard from builders is why are realtors even needed in the deal, right? They can go about handling their business, build a client a house, make up a two-page contract, and be done, right? Why involve us? Have a 14-page contract and all that and pay out a commission, right? So why are realtors needed? For buyers, purchasing new construction can be intimidating. Often they will deal with the builder's own sales agent. The buyers, in turn, need their own agent who will look after their best interests. Okay. Without one, the buyer will be exposed to a lot of risk with what is usually their most significant investment. Most buyers wonder if they can use the services of a real estate agent when buying new construction in the first place. Thus, it is the agent's responsibility to inform buyers why they need a representative for this transaction. Agents are there to ensure that buyers know vital details that can be easily overlooked or forgotten. It is also the real estate agent's job to ensure that custom features and upgrades are installed as agreed upon. So we're there to navigate the deal and keep everybody in line, meeting timelines and making sure that the contract is followed and nothing is missing, right? You walk through a house and you agreed to 9-foot ceilings in the basement, and you do the walkthrough and it's only 8 foot. That's pretty significant, right? At 8 foot, you might not be able to finish the basement in the future. Okay. So let's start off with working with track builders. Okay. So when I say working with track builders, what does that mean to you, Dave?
Well, I think it's probably someone like a Yanks that they are a developer and they build also
Okay.
in a community.
Right. It's track builders is both a developer and builder, and they are the same entity, right? Your S&As, your Berks, that type of deal. Okay.
Mhm.
So the initial client consult, you always it doesn't change with new construction. You have to sit down with your client and talk to them about what you do, expectations, and the whole process of home buying, right? So at this initial consult, again, first thing, buyer agency and consumer notice, get it signed. Okay. Make sure you sign your client up with the builder rep. And one of the things I have in my notes is this is a very important step. Okay. Almost don't even let the client go there first. You need to reach out to the builder and sign your clients up yourself. Okay. It's hard when your client has already gone through the process, sat down with them, picked out all the selections, and now they want to bring you into the deal, right? It's tough. Um, Understand the builder's commission structure. Okay. Is it a standard buyer agent commission? Are they just paying you a buyer agent commission and you represent the buyer and you go through the process just like a resale? Or are they just offering you a referral fee? Okay. A lot of builders are doing that these days in track builders. And what they're doing is they're just offering you a referral. You give them the name of your client, they take it from there, and that's all you do. Okay. So it's really important. And you also have to ask your client how involved they want you to be, right? Because if it is just a real referral fee, is your client willing to pay the difference, right, on your buyer agency? Um, Lots. Ask for a plot of the neighborhood. Okay. Now, a lot of these track builders, they have very detailed websites, which is really nice. And you can see what's available, the lot layout. It looks all very nice, right? But you have to walk the lot with the client and help them make a decision, because once the house sits there, what can't you change? The surroundings, right? It's going to stay there. If there's a retention pond, guess what? It's not moving. Okay. So you have to help your client make a sound decision when they're picking a lot. Okay. So let me give you an example right now. Hopefully you can see it. Can you see this neighborhood? Thumbs up. Okay. So if you looked at this map right here and you could pick any lot on here to buy, which one would you pick, Jim?
Well, maybe one down by the cul-de-sac.
Okay. 30 or 29?
Yeah.
Okay. Brent, how about you?
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. All right. So
Is that the one with the retention pond down there?
so, Tom, which one would you pick since you chimed in?
You're talking to me?
Yeah, just looking at this without seeing
Well,
anything else.
Yeah, obviously 30 or 29, but if that's the street that I'm thinking that you're posting, there's a big retention pond next to it.
Yeah. So this neighborhood, it's not even local, so
Oh,
I just pulled it up. But in driving this neighborhood, all the lots on 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, that bottom side there, they all back up to an apartment. And the apartment is about 20 feet higher than them. So the apartments are looking down, right? Then on the other side, there's apartments from 33 to 30. Okay. From 33 to 30. So from the middle of the street down to the cul-de-sac. Then 37 and 38 at the entrance, right behind it, is the neighborhood retention pond. Okay. So 35 and 36 were the best lots because right behind it, there was nothing but an empty parking lot for the parking for the apartments. So there's nobody behind you. Okay. It's all fenced in, but that's all you see is nothing. Okay. No buildings, no nothing. So when working with a client, and I noticed that, wait a minute, why are these two lots sold and the two best lots in on paper are not sold? You wonder, and when you go there, you see why. Okay. So it's stuff like that that makes you have more credibility with your client. Okay. So again, look for common ground, retention areas, stormwater, easements. Okay. We've had a couple neighborhoods locally here where when you look at the development plans, there's utility easements through the lot. Okay. Also recognize lot premiums. Okay. And walkout lots. Because not all lots are walkouts. And maybe a client wants to not have a walkout and they select a walkout lot, right? So just recognize that and make sure that you do your due diligence for your client. Any questions so far? Okay. Talk to the builder rep when working with Track Builder. Okay. Ask for a list of inclusions and basic features, almost like a spec sheet. Okay. So maybe their inclusion in their low advertised price only includes a level 3 for mica. Okay. It looks like granite, but it's not. And granite's an upgrade. Or the carpeting, right? What level and how much per yard are they giving you? Finance options with Track Builders, usually they do an end loan. Okay. Does everybody know the difference between a end loan and a construction loan? Tim, do you want to explain that real quick?
Okay, the end loan is where you typically give the builder a deposit. Let's say you're paying 700,000 for the house, and you give them $100,000 non-refundable deposit, and then your balance is 600,000 at settlement, and you go get your mortgage at that point. The construction loan is where you're going to literally go to the bank, apply for the loan, settle on the lot, and then do a installment agreement with the builder based on draws that the bank gives you as far as a draw schedule.
Yep. Now, Tim, is it correct on the construction loan, you don't end up paying another 1% transfer, right?
Correct. As long as you're able to build in a development where it's not an exclusive builder, like one exclusive builder, you can settle on the land and avoid the construction or the transfer tax on the 700,000. You would just pay the transfer tax on the lot. But if it's a development where it's an exclusive builder and you have to buy the lot, it gets a little more tricky. There has to be options available, I think, is the way it works.
Right. So in an end loan, the builder is carrying the cost during construction,
Yeah.
which I'm sure they'll build into the price. Whereas with the construction loan, you don't pay that.
Right. And then the builder also has to pay the transfer tax also.
Exactly. So, okay.
Again, if the developer is different from the builder and you're buying the lot from the developer and then choosing a builder to build on it, you can avoid that transfer tax on the house.
Right.
Sometimes.
You're going to want to talk about all the incentives that are available. So sometimes these track builders, they'll offer 33% off a finished basement, stuff like that. So you want to know what's available and for how long too. Okay. Although, Tim, what do you always say? So if it ends today, you're telling me if I sign the contract tomorrow, you won't give it to me?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but just be aware of that so you can negotiate for your client. Ask for a sample builder contract. This is actually very important because whether you're working with a track builder, a custom home builder, or buying a spec house, sometimes the builder will have their own contract. Okay. And guess what? If it's their own contract, it probably works in their favor. So you're going to want to read through that and find out what are the buyer's rights. Okay. And also to keep up with RELRA, you may want to include the BDA form from PAR. So you're probably wondering, what the heck is the BDA form? Okay. See if I can pull it up here. The BDA form is the broker's disclosure addendum to the agreement of sale. And right underneath it, it says for use with an agreement of sale that was not created by PAR. Okay, so you can use this on any agreement, whether it's from a builder, an attorney, or it was written on a napkin. Okay, this is basically the cover page. So you'll recognize it talks about the consumer notice and business relationship. And then right in the middle of this 3-page is that cover page. that we see on the agreement of sale from PAR. Buyer's relationship, seller's relationship. Okay. The other thing it talks about, again, zoning, representations, the release, the deposit portion. Okay, who's holding it? And if there is a dispute over the release. So again, this form will help navigate the release of the deposit if there is a dispute. You're agreeing to the release prior to signing a contract. Talks about the home inspection. For your protection, get a home inspection. Okay. So it's probably a good idea whenever you use a contract that is not PAR to include this. Okay. Because one, it puts you into the contract. It shows how you're involved as a realtor, because a builder's contract probably does not have that. Okay. Paula, you're shaking your head. No?
No, that's true. That's true.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even know this form existed until I was looking through all the forms on Zip Forms over the summer and noticed this. So it's pretty important. Model names, the builder website, model names, floor plans and options, different elevations, right? Usually on these builders' website, they'll advertise, hey, you can build this 2,300 square foot house for $400,000. And then until you look at it, it's all vinyl. It's got those decorative posts from the 80s, right? And if you want the new Craftsman farmhouse style horizontal vertical siding, you got to go up 3 elevations, and every time you go up an elevation, it's costing you $15,000. So now you're up to $30,000, right? So you have to be able to talk to your client and know what their budget is and figure out that if they want everything that they're talking about and building with this particular builder, it's going to cost them a lot more than that advertised price. Okay. Building on a scattered lot. So this is another type of new construction. Initial consult. Realtor needs to be involved to make connections between client and builder. Okay. One thing I have down is invest in drawings. Introduce your client to an architect who can draw the house. Serious clients will get this done and invest in the project. It allows the client to give same plans to various builders for bidding, and also utilities. Know what the utilities are on the neighbor for the property. If it has septic, where's the septic going to be? If it has well, where's the well going to be? Right. Tim, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I know a lot of people come to you and want you to build a house, and they're trying to bid you and somebody else, and it's like, what am I bidding? What am I drawing? Right.
Right. It's a lot easier to do apples to apples if you if the consumer already has the plan and a specification sheet, and then the builders at that point go and bid apples to apples. A lot of times you're not bidding apples to apples, and you really have to look closely at what they're putting in this property, you know, with each aspect of the build, meaning the cost per square foot on the flooring, the cost, you know, the type of cabinetry, all that different stuff can make huge differences. So,
yep. Builders, reach out and make the introduction. Okay. I think builders will feel that they don't have to pay you, because why should they pay you? They found the client, or the client came to them, right? But if you make the introduction and you're the one that initiated the deal, then builders are more apt to be more happy to pay you, right? And be clear about how you are involved and how you will get paid. Okay. I just had a builder that I work with called me and he asked, Colin, how do I pay this realtor who just kind of inserted himself? I've been talking to this buyer, and then a month later, now he's involved. Okay. And I just told the builder, sit down and have a conversation with that realtor and ask him what's his involvement and what's his expectations. Right. So, lenders, suggest a lender or two for client to talk to because they'll probably need a construction loan, especially if they own the lot. Okay. The initial consult, again, realtors need to be involved to make connections between client and builder, make it known when looking for lots too. Okay. And speaking of looking for lots, do your due diligence. Okay. Utilities, stormwater, perk, well, and the building envelope. Are they even allowed to build? Just had a friend up in State College reach out, and he has a lot next door to him that somebody bought cash. Okay, settled in 2 weeks. Now, what they didn't know, and I guess what their realtor didn't know, was there was some kind of conservation on the lot. And the thing is so narrow already, you can only build on half of the one side. So they spent $350,000 on a lot that really can't be built for what they need. Okay, so you want to do your due diligence and look at the lot and make sure that it's buildable. Okay. We'll move on. Building in a custom neighborhood. So there are several custom neighborhoods in our area. Okay. Glendale Estates, that's a big one, right? There's 3 or 4 builders in there that you can pick from. So again, building in a custom neighborhood, suggest a lender for the client to talk to. Usually in the neighborhood, there's 2 to 4 different builders to pick from. Contact the builder rep for protocol on meetings, representations, and commissions, and preferred financing. Okay, maybe they want the client to get an end loan, or they prefer a construction loan. And then ask the builder for plans to pick from too, because they may have their own plans for the neighborhood, because the neighborhood has restrictions on size and siding. Okay. Spec houses. So when I say spec house, what are you thinking of, Paula?
It would be like a model home, or a home that's already been built. Something they're going to be able to walk through and see what the builder offers.
Right. Yep. So one of the things I always ask for in a spec house is for a spec sheet, just to see what the finishes will be, especially if we're only in the drywall stage. I want to be able to talk to the client and say, look, they're going to have hardwood floors in these rooms, or it's just going to be carpet, but if you want to upgrade, it'll cost you this much. Okay. Are you allowed to do a home inspection on a spec house? Matt, Wall.
I guess you'd have to check your contract.
Exactly. It depends on the contract you use, but yes, I've had clients do home inspections on a spec house. Okay. And really when the builder or when the home inspector comes and do it, they're just doing almost like a final walkthrough. Right. They're looking at the property and making sure that all the plumbing's working, the heat is going up to where it's supposed to be, or if it's supposed to cool down to a certain temperature. Okay. What contract do you use? What kind of an agreement do you use for spec houses if you're writing it up and the builder doesn't have their own contract? Paula?
Um, we did two different things. If you wanted to buy the house as is and not add anything else, then you could use a regular contract.
The 14-page agreement of sale.
Right.
Yep.
Right. But if you're going to be adding, if you're going to add something else or finish the basement, you may want to use a new construction.
Okay. Yep. That's a very good explanation. Thank you. Also with spec houses, don't forget to ask about driveway finishing, right? If you're settling in the middle of winter, there's probably another coat that is owed to the homeowner. Okay, and you want to put that somewhere in the contract so that it gets completed. The landscaping, right? Warranty and callbacks. What is their policy on that? Some builders, and a lot of builders, they would prefer that for stuff like pop nails or cracks and stuff like that. They don't want you to call every time that occurs. Okay, they want you to note it so that when they do their 1-year callback, they can get it all done at once. Okay. And speaking of the walkthrough, the final walkthrough with the builder, do it in advance. You don't want to do it the day of or the hour before settlement, like a resale. Okay. You want to do at least a week in advance, because then if there are things in the house that need completed, the builder can have their contractor come back and touch it up. Okay. So lastly, don't forget to ask for expected completion dates. Okay, this is very important because some lenders may not be able to lock in 90 days prior, maybe even 60 days. Okay, so if you're starting a building process and they're saying it's 8 months out, you really have to look at the rates and where they're at. And if your client is, if we're getting 5.5 right now and there's a potential for rates to increase and they're on the bubble of debt to income, they may not be a good client to be building right now. Okay, or they may have to lower their price range or keep within a certain price range so that their debt to income doesn't go over. Does the client have a home to sell? Right, it's all about timing. I'm seeing a lot of post-settlement leases on the sale of their homes. Okay, Tim, you always said in the past that the best time to put your house up is when it's under roof.
Mm-hmm.
And now with homes selling so fast, I've heard some people not do it until it's drywall, right? So
Yeah, either way, I mean, once it's under roof and drywalled, it's definitely easier to look at and get a better feel for what the rooms look like. It's actually hard for somebody without vision to walk through just a framed house without the drywall and understand what the room sizes are as you're seeing through the wood,
right,
believe it or not.
absolutely. Do you want me to represent you in the construction and building of your new home? Just ask the question and make sure you know all the objection handlers, because some of these buyers, they may not want you involved because they think they can save, but in the long run, they're not. They're going to make a lot of mistakes, costly mistakes. Okay. And you need to get that across to your client. Okay. Taxes, look around the neighborhood at assessed home values. Contact the assessors. Bright, the public info. We have that map feature now, and you can click through and see the homes that were recently built around this particular home, what their taxes are, what their assessments are. Okay. So you can kind of give a range. You can't give an exact figure, obviously, but at least you can give them a range. Because if a builder's and their builder rep is advertising that the taxes are about 3,000, and you notice that the last phase, okay, the same type of homes, they're being taxed at $4,800. Well, guess what? You're probably not getting that $3,000, and it's going to be at least 48, if not more now. Okay, so just do your due diligence for your client and at least let them know that your tax range is going to be here and not where they advertised it. Okay. So any questions in regards to today? Mr. Penny? Yeah.
That was great, Paul. Thank you. I have to run to an appointment, so.
Okay. If nobody else has any questions, that's pretty much it for today then. Brooks?
Yeah, thank you guys. This was a great topic. Be sure to ask your pre-qualifying questions. It's going to save you a lot of time and help point in the right direction, obviously. There's a big difference, as Kong spelled out, between building in a neighborhood, a tract home, or a custom home development to building on a scattered lot. And asking the right questions can save everybody a ton of time and show to your clients that you're the expert. That helps you answer the question too, in their eyes, why have yourself, a realtor, involved in the transaction? A good one, just the objection handler that I use personally is, obviously you want somebody fighting on your behalf. How hard do you think the individual who represents the builder is going to fight against the person who pays them? So when you explain that to a client, they're like, it makes sense. I need to have an independent party fight for me on my behalf and work through the contract for me. Thank you again, Kong. It was an awesome session, and hope everyone has a great week. We'll get together next week with a different topic and go from there.